There's something magical about growing up in Britain during the 1970s and 80s. The streets were quieter, the telly had just a few channels, and the world outside your front door felt like the biggest playground you could ever imagine. We didn't have mobile phones or the internet, but we had something else, a kind of freedom and innocence that's hard to find today. Today, we're looking at 10 things only British kids did in the 70s and 80s. Moments that shaped our childhoods, filled our summers, and left us with memories we'll never forget. Playing Kirby in the street, you didn't need fancy toys. Just a football and a good curb. The rules were simple. Throw the ball against the opposite curb so it bounced back into your hands. Score enough points and you were the king of Kirby. The best games happened on quiet cul-de-sacs, where traffic was rare and laughter echoed off brick houses. It disappeared as cars became more common, but for those who played, the sound of that perfect thud is unforgettable. Collecting Panini football stickers, every playground had its own sticker economy. You'd swap doubles, chase that one missing player, and dream of completing your album before the season ended. Kids would huddle in groups, chanting a got, need as they flip through glossy pages. Panini albums still exist today, but the schoolyard sticker swaps of the 70s and 80s had a magic you can't quite recreate. Riding chopper bikes with their long padded seats, high handlebars, and gears you shifted like a racing car, Raleigh choppers were the ultimate status symbol. They weren't the fastest, but they were the coolest. Kids would ride in packs, hair blowing in the wind, pretending they were in a film chase. Safety wasn't much of a thought back then. No helmets, just adventure. By the late 80s, other bike styles took over, but the chopper will always be a British icon. Watching Saturday morning telly from multicolored swap shop to Tiswa's Saturday mornings were sacred. You'd sit in your pajamas with a bowl of cereal, watching live chaos unfold. Interviews, cartoons, phone-ins, and pranks. It felt like TV just for you, filled with energy and silliness. Streaming services have taken over now, but back then you had to be in front of the telly at the right time or you'd miss it forever. Building dens in the woods give a group of kids a few sticks, an old blanket, and an afternoon, and you'd get a fort worthy of any adventure story. These woodland hideouts became headquarters for imaginary battles, secret meetings, and planning the next day's fun. Parents didn't worry. They just told you to be home before dark. Today's kids have video games, but they'll never know the smell of damp leaves and the pride of a well-built den. Playing conkers at school in autumn, the playground turned into a battleground. You'd thread a string through a shiny brown conker, then take turns smashing each other's until one broke. Everyone had their own secret method for making theirs stronger, soaking in vinegar, baking in the oven. Health and safety rules eventually banned it in many schools, but for a time, it was the ultimate test of playground skill. Ice cream vans and a 99 flake on summer afternoons, the sound of the ice cream van's chimes would send kids running from every direction. A 99 flake, soft-serve ice cream with a Cadbury flake, was the holy grail. Sometimes you'd have to beg for just A&P for a lolly if you couldn't afford the big one. Vans still exist, but that rush of excitement, coins clutched in sweaty hands, is pure 70s and 80s magic. Playing British Bulldog, it was loud, rough, and sometimes a bit dangerous, but we loved it. One kid in the middle would try to catch the others as they ran from one side of the playground to the other. The more kids caught, the harder it got. The game eventually disappeared from many schools over safety worries, but back then, it was pure adrenaline and laughter. Renting VHS tapes from the local shop before Netflix, there was the corner video shop with rows of chunky VHS boxes. You'd wander the aisles, judging films by their covers, and hope the one you wanted wasn't already rented out. Taking it home felt like a treat, even if you had to rewind it before returning. For many families, that weekly trip was a highlight. Bonfire night street parties every November, neighborhoods gathered for Guy Fawkes Night. Bonfires crackling, sparklers in hand, and the smell of jacket potatoes in the air. Kids would make a guy out of old clothes, then push it around in a pram asking for a penny for the guy. Fireworks still light up the sky today, but the close-knit street parties of the 70s and 80s are a fading memo. Those were the days. Long summer evenings, simple pleasures, and a kind of childhood freedom that feels rare now. These moments weren't just games or traditions. They were part of what made growing up in Britain so special. If you remember any of these, or have your own favorite memories from the 70s and 80s, share them in the comments. And don't forget to like, subscribe, and join us next time as we take another trip down memory lane.